Hello, all sentient beings, and welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, where we talk about news, comics, and media related to the... On this episode of Alt Mode, we review the final issue of Transformers Escape from IDW Publishing. We talk about the November 2021 solicits, and Charles sits down with the team from Eaglemoss to talk about their G1 chess set Kickstarter. Today is Friday, August 27th, 2021, and this is episode 248 of Transmissions Alt Mode.
Welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, the podcast that's asking if anyone has any spare arcs lying around. I'm your host Charles, aka Big C, and I'm joined by the excellent Transmissions team. Jeremy, aka Yakko.
Hey, how's it going?
Fantastic fan artist Apollo, aka Robo Apollo.
Hi, what's up?
And Daryl, the Cybertronian Beast.
Hello. Let's talk Transformers.
All right. As always, we start off the show by thanking our Donatreons, those lovely people who give us money on Patreon and PayPal. Thank you guys so much for continuing to support the show. We really appreciate it. And if you are not a Donatreon and would like to become one, just go to transmissionspodcast.com/support. I mentioned it in the toy show, but we should also mention here, we've got the next drawing for our Toy Hacks $10 gift code coming up. That's coming up. The drawing will be this Sunday, August 29th, and then it'll be announced. We'll announce the winners on next week's show, in the main transmission show. So if you are interested in entering, you can either become a Donatron, so sign up at transmissionspodcast.com/support, or you can send an email to contest@transmissionspodcast.com with a picture of the Transformers figure you'd like to get stickers for. So, yeah, it's coming up at the end of the month for our August drawing. So you've got a little bit of time, but not much. So if you want to enter, you got to do it now. Also, next week, we've got the next episode of Empire of Rust, episode 57, Encyclopedia Cybertronica. So we had the Donatreon exclusive uncut show that came out this week, but next week the regular show in the main feed, so everyone will have access to it. That'll be Monday, August 30th. So look forward to that. And this will be the wrap up, the coda to season 1 of Empire of Rust, our Transformers RPG podcast. And then with episode 58, we start season 2 proper for the Empire of Rust storyline and the first and only Transformers RPG podcast. All right, now let's jump into some comics news. So we've got the cover for issue 35 of the main Transformers series, and this is by Juan Samu. So you can take a look at that. He has put that cover image out. I believe Transformers 34 is coming out very soon, so 35 is probably about a month away, so you can look forward to that as the story continues there, and we'll continue to review it as we go on.
It's an interesting looking Shockwave on that cover.
Yeah. How does he hold anything now? He's got nothing but gun hands.
He's got one hand. There's 4 hands there.
Oh yeah. Interesting. Well, yeah, we'll have to come back to that when the issue is out. All right. Next, we've got some more covers that were just both the line art and the complete covers were announced because we have the solicitations for November of 2021. So these are the IDW's Transformers solicitations, just came out recently. And some of these covers were featured in these solicitations. So the artists were able to put out their line art and just show them off on social media. So the solicitations detailed Transformers 37. That's going to be coming in November. Then Beast Wars number 10. Then King Grimlock number 4, Shattered Glass number 4, and Wreckers Tread and Circuits number 2. So for Beast Wars issue 10, we've got a Casey Collar retailer incentive cover, and Casey posted the line art for that cover as well, so you can take a look at that. And then for the Wreckers Tread and Circuits issue 2 cover, this was cover A that Alex Milne did, and he showed his line art as well. So you can take a look. The Alex Milne's covers are always a treat, and he also showed the process he went through in like doing the sketches, the original sketches for the cover, then doing the pencils, and then the inks. So you can see the whole process there, and then it was finally colored. So, yeah, thanks to the artists for putting out these showcases. It's always neat to see how these covers are developed.
I like on Alex's how the logo for the book is actually between the characters in the foreground and some of the background.
Yeah.
Usually you just see it either covering it or behind it, but I like that the logo is kind of in the middle.
And you've got the word Wreckers spelled out in the junk that they're standing on.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. That's cool.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I didn't notice that either. That's super cool. I also like the new Wreckers, or I guess maybe it's an old Wreckers symbol. The kind of modified Autobot symbol, and then with the two little sledgehammers crossed over there. So that's pretty cool.
I think that's new. The old one was more of an Autobot logo with like a hammer in the forehead.
Oh, okay.
I like this new one better.
Yeah.
Cool. Did you want to mention your friend and their cover B?
Yeah, and I actually just got this ordered. So my friend Susan did a cover. It's for the Transformers Wreckers Thread and Circuits. And I just placed my order at the comic book store. So I know there's a lot of different artists that you can choose from. This is her second cover for Transformers. I believe she did issue 34's B cover too, which I have ordered. So yeah, I think this cover is really cool that she made.
Which cover is hers? The B
It's
again?
the cover B from issue 2 of Wreckers. And then I think she did 34B from the main line too, but I'd have to go back and double check.
So is hers the one with the close up of Circuit? Cool. Very cool.
Yeah, I thought this was really cool. Like his eyes got like cracks in it, and there's like, shards of glass like exploding off one of his eyes. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, neat. All right. That's all our comics news, and we will move on to our comic review. So this week we are wrapping up the Transformers Escape miniseries with Escape issue number 5. So this was written by Brian Ruckley, art by Beth McGuire Smith, colors by Priscilla Tramontano, letters by Jake M. Wood, editor David Marriott, assistant editor Riley Farmer, supervising editor Tom Waltz. We have 3 covers. Cover A is the Insecticons and their swarm and the hunger of the swarm. This is by the interior artist Beth McGuire Smith. Then cover B is the swarm descending to attack, and this is by Livio Remendelli. And then the retailer incentive cover shows Atlas and the Autobots fighting off the swarm, and this is by Dan Kana with colors by Josh Perez. So, Apollo, which of these 3 covers do you like the best?
Oh my gosh. I've really liked all of them, but I can't answer that answer. But it's you have really 3 really talented artists. I really liked Livio's the best this time around. Like he really knows how to create atmosphere and mood with like the lighting and compositions of his work. I like the action line sequences in this and just the lighting and the posing with the Insecticons descending. It has a very impending doom feeling about it. His is my favorite cover.
Daryl, which one are you going to pick?
I think I like cover B but I think I probably am going to go with the RI this week. It gives it kind of goes through and shows much more of what goes on in the book than the B cover or I mean the A cover. They're both fairly good at some composition. I like the way that the B cover is showing it's very artsy in the composition of it. It shows a lot of movement. The A cover is very kind of scary and kind of it's implying this group and this goon, all these guys are coming to get you. But the RI cover, there's a lot of color. It's filled with Insecticons, but it's got all the other Autobot characters. They're fighting for their lives. It really does, illustrate what's going on in the book.
All right, and Jeremy, which one are you picking?
This is a hard decision, and we're after last week, not really overly liking any of the covers. I think this one, they're all really good. I'm debating between B and the RI, but I'm going to go with Livio cover because my first reaction after seeing these was just, that was like the most striking. And, I've always kind of been a fan of his covers, and just, I like kind of the metallic wavy lines that he's doing in the Insecticons there. And I don't know, it just was it drew my eyes to it when I had all three laid out there.
All right. Well, for me, I am going to side with Daryl and pick the retailer incentive, the art by Dan Kana and colors by Josh Perez. I really like the action scene there, and I really like how the Autobots are all rendered in that scene. They definitely give off the kind of Neo G1 vibe, which I always like in comics. I mean, this is very similar in style to Guido Guidi, which I think is really well done. So, and Dan Kana is a longtime Transformers fan artist who has been recently getting more professional work. So it's cool to see him getting some work here. All right. Well, that's our covers. So let's get into the story. The Insecticon swarm descends like locusts on the vulnerable refugees camped outside Darkmount. Hound, Diatlas, and the other bots try their best to fight back, but they are quickly overwhelmed. Hound's friend Power Flash is grabbed by several Insecticons and carried off, but then the Titan-sized bot Leviathan gains her footing and helps repel the swarm. This gives the bots on the ground some temporary breathing room. Meanwhile, Wheeljack and Gears try to get all the non-Cybertronian organics to evacuate to the safety of Darkmount. But one four-armed alien goes in the wrong direction, towards the swarm. Wheeljack tries to steer this alien back, but they refuse. This creature tells Wheeljack that the rest of the organic creatures who populate the galaxy have spent a lot of time developing weapons to destroy Cybertronians. Sometimes fear of giant immortal living machines is the mother of invention. Now, this alien has 4 such weapons in each of their 4 hands and is ready to help fight back the swarm. The weapons fire powerful electrical blasts that destroy any Insecticon clones they touch. Up in Darkmount, Straxus watches the carnage with fear and dismay. He will not let the citizens of Darkmount succumb to the swarm of death brought to his doorstep by the refugees. He orders the gates of Darkmount closed, and all the citizens must board the arcs immediately. They are going to launch now and flee Cybertron before the swarm destroys everything. On the ground, Diatlas fights back against the swarm, but reflects on how nothing has changed. Many cycles ago, he fought the threefold Spark Exarchon's Seeker drones, and now he fights the mindless Insecticon drones, Death and Hunger incarnate. As the bots continue to struggle, Leviathan begins to suffer from the death by 1,000 cuts of the Insecticon clones. She sustains too many injuries from all the clones swarming her and collapses in pain. Hound and Diatlas rush to her aid, but there are too many to fight off one by one. But then Wheeljack and Gears show up with a weapon that can hopefully even the odds. They borrowed the very effective electricity blasters from their alien friend and hooked them into their own bodily energon reserves to supercharge them. They tell Hound and the others to stand back as they fire on the swarm covering Leviathan. The electrical blasts arc from clone to clone, destroying them all, but also singeing Leviathan a little bit in the process. But she's still alive. Wheeljack and Gears only have a moment to admire their handiwork before they both collapse unconscious from their systems nearly depleted of energon. At the gates of Darkmount, the refugees are horrified to realize that Straxus has sealed the gates, keeping them locked out as the swarm continues to advance. From the sky, the partially devoured body of Power Flash falls to the ground. Crowbar checks his vitals, but his spark is gone. And it looks like that fate awaits all the refugees as the swarm advances. Hound figures if he's going down, he'll go down blasting. He orders Crowbar to transform to his weapons mode. Crowbar converts into a gun platform that wraps around Hound's shoulders, integrating into his systems. Hound and Crowbar unleash massive firepower to push the swarm back, but it's still not enough. However, at this moment, the swarm is distracted and flies off. At the peak of Darkmount, 2 of Straxus's arcs launch into the sky, rapidly gaining altitude to escape Cybertron. One arc contains Straxus and most of Darkmount's population, while the other arc contains their supplies and energon stores. The second arc is a giant, tasty meal for the Insecticons, and the swarm can't resist. Straxus tells the crew of the second arc to do something, anything, to fight off the swarm, but it's too late. The Insecticlones chew through the hull of the ship, eating into all the systems. They eventually cause a chain reaction of the ship's engines. The arc erupts in a massive explosion, killing all on board and all the Insecticons near it. The first arc continues to make its escape, fleeing to the stars. With most of the Insecticon swarm destroyed in the blast, the rest of the stragglers disperse and are no longer a threat. Straxus left one functional arc inside Darkmount and one that was structurally intact but needs a new star drive. One working arc is not enough to get all the refugees off planet. The Cybertronians all agree that the organic non-Cybertronians should be given first priority. The Aovians ask Atlas to go with them as their protector, and he agrees. Back at the Insecticons' lair, the original 3 Insecticons greet their returning clones. They are disappointed that so few have returned, but they are patient. They will continue to create more clones, send them out, have them harvest and process energon and materials from Cybertron for them, and consume the clones themselves, converting them into Ultra Energon. The cycle will repeat until they've consumed everything on Cybertron. Finally, at Darkmount, Nautica and her bodyguard Road Rage watch the third arc with the organic alien refugees fly off and leave Cybertron. Road Rage comments that she knows Nautica wanted to go with them. Nautica doesn't deny it. She admits that everything she cares about is out in the galaxy, not on Cybertron. But at the end of the day, she is Cybertronian, and she can't ignore the turmoil of her own homeworld. And there are still many alien races left stranded on Cybertron that will need her help. Road Rage is happy to let Nautica decide where their next mission is. And they might still get their chance to get off-world eventually. After all, there is one arc left in Darkmount just waiting for a working star drive engine. And that is the end of Transformers Escape. So in the end, the refugees didn't act, well, the Cybertronian refugees didn't get to escape. All the organics did. But I thought this was a nicely done issue. It was a good, solid conclusion to this storyline. Lots of action, so that was good, and I think it all hung together pretty well. I know Daryl's going to mention the art. It's still the lines are not as clean as I would like them, but I think they're still pretty well done in terms of the dynamics and the choreographing of the fight scenes and things. I think that's still well done. Even if the style isn't necessarily to my liking here. But Daryl, I'm going to ask you, what did you think of this book?
So I liked it. I liked all the fighting. The fighting was exactly what I thought was going to happen in this book, and that's what it did. I didn't know that. I mean, it must have happened at some point in the 5 issues, but that the Leviathan was here, I forgot, it's just Leviathan's huge, and I just kind of don't seem to remember that Leviathan was here.
Last week, Leviathan got a new leg.
Did it? I
It was a minor part of the story, though.
Oh, you may not have mentioned it in your review, but anyway, it's something that I've obviously forgotten about. The best line in the entire book, though, comes from the four-armed alien saying that the entire galaxy has made weapons to kill all you guys, and I'm holding 4 of them. So, yeah, I thought, you know what, that's perfect, because the whole book and everything about these books is, Cybertronian focused, and it's been made mentioned in other media, other parts, other comics, but to the rest of the universe, the Cybertronians suck. They are dicks, and the rest of the universe really doesn't like them. Of course, other civilizations are going to have weapons that will take them out. And this guy, this four-armed alien, whoever the hell he is just awesome. I love him. More of this guy, please. And just telling it like it is, like, I want to see the adventures of this guy just running around killing Cybertronians, because they suck. It's great. I expected nothing less than what Straxus did, and just, closing the doors. And frankly, I'm trying to think of it from Straxus's point of view. He's trying to save his people. He's got his little kingdom, or whatever you want to call it, Dark Mountain. He's got his whole section of people there, and he's trying to save those people. Does he let in all these other people? No, because letting them in could swamp his, evacuation efforts. Now he's got these Insecticons coming. He's got to close the doors. I put myself in his position. I probably would have done the exact same thing. Yeah, it sucks for the people outside, but he's not responsible for the people outside. He's responsible for his citizens. I probably would have done the exact same thing. He's being painted as a villain, but it's probably the right decision. I think I'm underwhelmed with how Diatlas was used. Yes, they did have him swinging his sword around, killing some Insecticons and doing some damage, but I fully expected to see Diatlas go in berserker mode and just slaughtering these things. And you mainly get a page of it, and that's about it. Diatlas, for the first 2 issues or 3 issues, was built up as he's gonna save everybody. We found Diatlas. This turned everything. We're good now. And you got a page of him swinging the sword, and then he left. I'm pretty underwhelmed and disappointed with the use of Diatlas in this book. With the reverse of that, I'm okay with the art. We've talked about it before, and it's digital, so I expect, I don't expect it to be as detailed as what would have been done if it were done by hand on art in pencil, but you can definitely tell it's digital, and that's we've discussed it, and I'm not gonna bring that up again. But it's okay, and it works for this, especially with the underground scenes, with the Insecticons and such. I'm looking at it right now. I liked the panel where the 2 Insecticons kind of made out, and one chewed the other one's face off. That was kind of nice. They're consuming each other, but they started with going face to face. So I thought that was kind of cute. Yeah. All in all, I thought it was an okay book. But as far as the story goes, the story of this 5-issue arc, or this 5-issue miniseries, was not great. It really did go nowhere. They've, this group of Cybertronians has been left on this planet with a non-functioning arc, and a bunch of Insecticons that have the ability to clone themselves. Essentially establish another army to come and get them at almost any point in time. They can come again within an hour and come back and screw them up. And now they don't have Diatlas anymore because he's fucked off. So what are you going to do? So is this, are we going to get this again? Are we going to get Escape Part 2? Escape from nowhere with a broken ship? I don't know. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Jeremy, what are your thoughts on this? Because this is, I didn't particularly like the story, but I loved the action in this. This was an action book built for me.
I had no doubt that you would like this issue.
I should have just let you tell me what I should have said.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what you like in the future. This was exactly what I was expecting as well. I mean, I did like what you mentioned about the guy with the forearms, and the little bit of universe building, saying that no one really likes Cybertronians outside of Cybertronians. But I still have problems with the overall IDW 2.0 story, just in terms of the pacing. I mean, this issue was fine. I liked the action. I liked particularly the Leviathan part, where she was covered in Insecticons. As anyone that's had to deal with like little bugs, swarming around, I imagine that's what it was like. Horrible experience. But I'm also wondering, I mean, knowing that we've already reviewed the book that comes after this, the issue 31, and there is a time jump. It's just, I don't know. I have mixed feelings because this was a fun book, but the series as a whole, like I said last week, we were sold on a story that was like a race to escape to get off the planet. And it didn't really, it wasn't really a race. It was just, finally, oh, hey, there's one ship left. Let's get all the organics on there. The Diatlas thing, I only hope that it's going to be a long play type thing, that he's going to come back at some point. I mean, clearly right now, if you have to put what he's going through in kind of realistic terms, he's dealing with like PTSD, some sort of mental, he's going through some mental issues since coming back and trying to figure out where is his place in the universe and everything. So story wise, it's good to kind of just get him off of the planet. He's with organics, which he seems to be the only Cybertronian that they have any respect for. So, have him go off with them, but I'm hoping that at some point he returns and, maybe that's where he'll bring in other characters that we saw, that we know could be out there, like Drift or something. I don't know. But my issue continues just to be the overall pacing of these issues. I'm looking forward to continuing on with the ones after 31, just since we know there's a time jump and we know that there is some interesting stuff coming up with was it the Turgomax stuff, or I can't remember. What is the character's name? The Threefold Spark stuff.
Oh, X-Archon.
X-Archon, yeah. So I'm looking forward to that, and just kind of glad that this part is now behind us, and hopefully this time jump helps with speeding some pacing issues along.
All right. Well, Apollo, what did you think of this issue? And I guess maybe if you've had a chance to go through the series as a whole, since we haven't had you on for all the other reviews, what your thoughts were on Escape, the miniseries?
I mean, I liked this. I thought it had the right amount of action, and I really liked the art. I mean, I like the pacing of this better than the overall main story, and I'm caught up completely on the main story. So, with what's out so far, so but I don't want to say anything about those issues. But this is I really liked the art in this. I think Beth McGuire Smith is the main artist on this, right?
Yes.
I like their art style, and I was really kind of on the edge of my seat reading this. Like, I read it really quickly, and then I had to go back and look at it again when I got my paper copy of this issue. I don't know what they're gonna do with the Insecticons. I mean, as you said, they can clone themselves and make an infinite army. So, what's going to happen next with them? They're pretty much indestructible, and I don't know even what Megatron and his forces are going to do, with these things, with the Insecticons, being another force. So it's really interesting where this is going. I would like to see where it ties in with the big storyline. As I said, I really liked the art. I could probably keep going on about the art. I don't blame Straxus for doing what he did. He was just kind of over the war, this whole all the disagreements going on. He kind of saw the writing on the wall, so that's why he was building these arcs to get off Cybertron when things got bad. And hey, they did with these Insecticons. Yeah, it was really interesting with Diatlas. He's definitely I'm a pacifist kind of person, like a reluctant warrior now. We'll have to see when he comes back. I liked the interaction between Road Rage and Nautica. I thought that was really sweet. And yeah, I thought a really great mini series. I just want to see everything tie together in the main story, I guess, is my biggest, not complaint, but wondering where things are going.
All right. Well, that is our review of Transformers Escape number 5. And it looks like the Autobots won't be escaping for a little while. At least I think the implication is that arc is going to be the arc much later down the line. So we'll see. I guess we'll keep reading.
We have no choice.
All right. Well, that's our review, and we'll move on. But this week we don't have any media news. So Daryl can rest easy. But we do have a special segment. So earlier in this week, I got to sit down with the folks from Eaglemoss HeroCollector to talk about their Transformers chess set, the Kickstarter that they recently announced. And they gave me some more details, and we had a nice little chat. So we'll put that right here so you can listen to that. We'll also have the video up on YouTube so you can see everything we did there. So let's get into that Eaglemoss chat. I'm here with Richard Jackson and Chris Thompson from HeroCollector, Eaglemoss HeroCollector. And they're here to talk about this new Kickstarter project they've just started with a Transformers G1 chess set. This is an awesome set. We've talked about it on Transmissions when it was first announced, and they've also got a coveted spot on the big broadcast of 2021, the TF Nation online convention a couple of weeks ago. And it's just a really cool project. So we wanted to talk to you guys about how this project came about and get some more details. So first off, I do want to ask, are you guys really big Transformers fans, or is this something that came about naturally? And how did you get involved with getting Eaglemoss HeroCollector involved with Hasbro to get this done?
Well, I guess Rich can probably talk a little bit about the Hasbro connection and how that came about. In terms of history, I guess particularly this being the G1 version of Transformers, that is sort of my era and was my entry point. So as a kid growing up in the 80s, I used to watch the cartoon, and it very much became kind of appointment television for me on a Saturday morning. I had to tune in and find out what was happening. I knew I couldn't really miss any. And like everyone from that time, I was then traumatized by the film. Very much it was sort of part of my childhood. A little bit with the toys, although we never got sort of all the ones I wanted. And then when I was an adult, I was able to get some more and finally have the ones I'd missed. And today I still read the comics. So, I guess Transformers has been a part of my life for, as long as I can remember.
Yeah, sort of very similar for me in terms of as an 80s kid growing up in the 80s, and Transformers, was everywhere. It's what I loved. It's what I grew up with, watching the cartoon. Probably not as studious as Chris, it sounds like. Whenever it was on, I was watching it. I probably watched them totally out of order. You're a 6-year-old, maybe up to, probably up to 12 watching these things on reruns on British TV, and you get what you get. So you watch the episodes and you enjoy it, and then maybe next Next episode, it's totally different storyline. But yeah, grew up on all of those and collecting the toys somewhat, because in my household, the toys were the premium toy to have. So you maybe got one Transformer at Christmas, maybe one at your birthday, because they were the more complicated, often the more expensive ones if you wanted the big sort of Optimus Prime or, some of the really cool models. So those were sort of the premium ones that my brother and I used to fight over. And then, yeah, that's sort of how I've started out with Transformers. And I think I've kept on top of it a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't say I was one of these absolute diehard fans. I'll admit that. But I love the Dreamwave series of comics when they came back and redid, sort of almost looking at that Gen 1 style again. I've seen a few of the modern movies. They're not. My love is with the cartoon, is with the original animation, the original toys more than anything. So that's where I've started from. And then really this project has been a dream, because it's been able to sort of bring that back, that nostalgic element from the bit from your childhood that everyone wants to grow up and own the toys that they couldn't have when they were kids. So, that's how I look at it. And I've had that opportunity with Hasbro and with HeroCollector now to sort of dive back into the world of Transformers once again, after sort of probably not paying too much attention to some of the more modern animation series and the stuff that's on Netflix and things, and really go back to my roots and back to the cartoon series, the animated series that I loved.
Very cool. Yeah. So HeroCollector has done a lot of different premium collectibles and different figurines and things. And you've done previous chess sets in the past. So how did this project come about, and how was it working with Hasbro and getting this licensed?
Yeah, it's been really good. We've worked with Hasbro for a number of years on lots of different properties. Probably no one else would really care, but we've done like My Little Pony stuff for kids, with like the sort of magazines you would get in your newsagents or your shops, where you get the free pencils and the gifts and things. The kids color it in and they get stickers. So we've got a good relationship with Hasbro, working through lots of things like that. And then really we went to them with, what can we do with Transformers? We do figurines. It's not something that traditionally you get a lot of with Transformers, because you have toys that transform and figurines obviously are static. So it's sort of a little bit oh, well, they don't transform. Are they Transformers anymore? So we were sort of backwards and forwards with Hasbro on that. And then one of their creatives was just saw everything we've done, like you say, all of the chess sets, and went, well, this is what it is, guys. It's a chess set. That's what we've got to do. This is the greatest battle ever in the history of the universe. It's been going on for millions of years. Autobots versus Decepticons. This is it. This is what we have to do. It makes just so much sense. So that's where it began. And Hasbro were on board from the beginning, and they're the ones who have really sort of been I wouldn't say holding our hands, but they're the ones who have helped lead the way with it. They've been really keen to work with us from a creative point of view, from the elements of from what characters we choose to how they should look, the sizes, everything that we've wanted to do. So it's taken our previous chess collections and sort of tweaked them a bit to work more with Transformers. They're a bit different. They're a little bit bigger in some cases, because the robots, the Transformer characters are a little bit bigger. You want them to feel a bit more impressive than some of the human characters, or the hobbits from Lord of the Rings, for example, that we've done. So that's where we started with Hasbro, and that's how the project began. It's been sort of sitting around, or not sitting around really, but actively being worked on in the background for about 18 months now. As you can imagine, that sort of rings for about the time we've been having this problem with the pandemic and everything that's been going on. So that hasn't helped. It's not an excuse for it being taken this long, but it's part of it. And I think it's helped sort of refine what we wanted to do, and helped us work with Hasbro to come up with something that I think is really cool. And I hope others do as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it does look like it's a massive set. Like I've seen a couple of the YouTube videos where folks have gotten some of the advanced pieces and just showing the size of these figures, like particularly the Optimus Prime figure. And this could be like just a statue or collectible figurine for just that you could put on your shelf. And the fact that it's a complete chess set with 32 individual pieces, it seems like a very large undertaking.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that not everyone takes into account as well. Like, it is a hefty price point. I don't think we're shying away from that for the set. But when you think that it is those 32 unique individual pieces, no pawn or character is alike, it actually breaks down as being a really reasonable amount per, figurine. It's I don't know, under $20 each, like well under, and that's then you're getting the book and the board on top of that for free, essentially. And if you look at it that way, it's not such a scary proposition. It's more like, okay, I'm getting 32 figurines all at once, plus this other goodies. So yeah, you're sort of paying for that at the time. I think the other thing, and if you've seen the people sort of showing off their Optimus in the videos, you really, once you've got them in hand, you get an idea of the heft of them. Like, they're really weighty. They're not going to give you RSI if you're playing chess. You're going to be able to survive. But there's value in it. You can actually feel it. It is a premium product in the same way as Rich said, Transformers was for him as a kid. They were always a premium.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask if Rich had any of his there to sort of.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, I mean, I've got quite a few samples here, that I could show in hand. So You've got your Optimus and your Megatron. There we go. So I think they're sort of quite nice. The sort of face off between them, the size, they feel sort of really nice, real sort of weighty the way they go together. We've also got things like Soundwave kicking about, and what else have I got? A hot rod as well. So I get quite a lot of the prototypes in. So a lot of these are not quite as finished as maybe what you would see in our videos and things, because these are ones we've been developing for a few years. So there might be things that someone spots and we go, we're thinking about that, we're changing that. A good example is Starscream, which it's probably really hard to see, but on this one, because he's got a little bit of a black nose, and that's just something we're changing. We know that's not, he shouldn't have a black nose. So, that's one of those things that the prototypes that I have kicking about, I have the privilege of having hundreds of items in my house because we're all still working from home. So, I've got quite a few different bits and pieces, but I think you can see, the sort of the heft. Hopefully you can see the size and how we structured them. And I think stuff that you don't really see from maybe so much on the Kickstarter are things like the difference in the bases that we've gone for, where the pawns, they all sort of come on these shallower bases, so they're pawns, and it gives them sort of a height differential between the back row to really sort of make it feel like you've got, a proper chess set with proper characters sort of displayed well, so that they can all go next to each other and fit, and they look good. It's sort of all about that. It's about sort of making sure we've got something that we feel works and tweaking it where we can to, match up sizes and, get the colors exactly right, because there's a lot of differences in the animation from the one cell to the next, one scene, one episode. You might have a character suddenly change, and it's just a little bit of, animation difference where a bit of leg changes to a slightly different color. So we're working with Hasbro to sort of try and pin down the exact Pantones, the exact paints that these things should be, and get them right. I mean, I think we're doing a good job so far, and I think we've got some of the stuff ready to sort of improve and have a look at. But they're nice, solid pieces. They're really good.
Yeah, I love the detail on Soundwave where he's reaching over to push the eject button, about to eject one of his minions. So that's a great little touch there. Yeah,
and of course we've got a couple of the minions, as you say, are the pawn pieces. So we've got a Ravage, and so I quite like the idea of, obviously you can set them up, kind of the pawns however you want on a chessboard, but you could have that just in front of him, so it is like he's either just ejected it, and it's kind of fun. Yeah.
When you were holding up your Optimus and Megatron before, it was reminding me of when we filmed the Kickstarter video. And for anyone that's seen it, I was trying to have a bit of fun, and I thought, I'll get a bit playful. So I tried to do this thing of them fighting, had one in each hand, and I was like, just fun at the end. But yeah, you've done a good job of it. When I did it, they just look like they're making out. So like,
oh no,
we use this, but I was like, maybe if we ever do a blooper reel just for fun, we'll whack that on the end. But yeah, it totally looks like they're making out. So I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, thanks, Chris. That's ruined it for me as well and everyone else. But
you're welcome. Yeah.
Looking at your Kickstarter page, and I see it's gotten off to a good start. So I'm hoping you guys are successful. So you've still got about a month to go. You've got about I guess like you have a $300,000 goal. You're at about it looks like close to $80,000 now. So so hopefully things will keep progressing there, and you'll make it to the goal. So you mentioned a couple of things that are going to be included. The art book that it mentions in the Kickstarter package, and it describes like giving some individual character bios and talks about their maybe some key episodes they were in. So can you tell me a little bit more? I'm kind of a big Transformers lore guy, so I'm interested to hear what's going into this book.
It's a little bit early sort of days for us from the book. So we've so what I've done is we're going to focus on every single character that we're putting onto the chess set. That's kind of how we do. If you've ever seen any of our previous products, figurines and chess sets, we normally have a magazine, so a much smaller sort of print magazine that talks about the character's history, like you say, maybe their powers. If it's something like a DC or a Marvel character, we talk about their abilities and their powers and all of that sort of thing. So for Transformers, we want to focus on the characters we're putting in the set and what they did in the animation, in the actual proper, all the series and the movie, but we're not going to look at multiple iterations of the characters. We're not going to start talking about Megatron from, the most recent movies, the CG movies, the big Michael Bay movies. We're not going to start focusing on those. We're going to keep it all animation. And the idea is each character gets a few pages to talk about, like you said, their lore, their history, and their episode they're from. The episode they're from. Some of the best episodes in our opinion and Hasbro's opinion that they appeared in. We're sort of very early stage at that. So we're working with Hasbro, and we haven't quite. We want to get some Transformers experts on board to work with us, because we do all of our editorial in-house normally. But I think with something like Transformers, it's really key you get that absolute authentic voice. And so someone like you hopefully won't sit there and go, "You got that wrong, guys. He didn't do that in that episode." So that's the key part for us. And we're working with Hasbro and their creative team. They've suggested a bunch of editors and writers who can help us, and we're hoping to get those on board to really sit down and work it out. At the moment, we're at the flat plan. We've mapped it all out. I've got all the characters on the page ready to go. The key for us is we want to show as much as we can from the animation. So that's difficult because I think as probably anyone watching this knows, there's not a lot of, it hasn't been released in high definition properly. There's not a lot of official releases for the animation as it stands at the moment. So that we're working with Hasbro to try and get the best files we can, so we can show the best screenshots we can from each episode. We can show the characters in their best light. We're going to be using every one of our lovely sculpts, which have been developed obviously with Hasbro. They're all digital sculpts. So for us, we've got them, and you can see that on our Kickstarter page. We've colored them up. We've got one of our digital 3D artists, a lovely guy called Adex Costa, who is just amazing at what he does. And he's going to be producing some lovely shots of those, so we can have a few images of that to sit on the page to look really nice and work alongside everything else. But it's early progress on that one. That's the figurines always take a lot longer to make, so we're always pushing getting the physical 3Ds and physical masters of those figurines done first.
I know it's still early stages for the book, but was there any thought of making that a separate Kickstarter reward as well? I think there would be some people who would be interested in getting that, like the same way you separated out getting one of the Optimus Prime figurines as a lower Kickstarter reward. Yeah,
that's interesting. I think this is our first Kickstarter, so we've kept things a little bit simpler than than maybe some other Kickstarters do. We're trying to sort of really focus on the chess side of it and the figurines. The honest answer is also that's part of our working with Hasbro, and the license we have is for a chess set and is for these figurines. So a book on its own is a possibility, but it's also something that they produce books with other people. We IDW do a lot of books, so it's one of those things where as a separate item, it's a bit more difficult to do. So that's kind of why at the moment we've left it so it comes with the set. So it's an item that comes with your chess pieces, and it's about the pieces that you have.
Right. Okay. Cool. So I know you guys are based in the UK, so one of the things that's always going to be difficult is distributing things worldwide, and where you decide which territories you release things. One of my co-hosts on Transmissions is in Canada, and he kind of he sometimes grumbles about the exorbitant shipping costs for things to Canada from the U.S. For things based in the U.S., they kind of sometimes get a little left out in the cold. So I wanted to, because I know, Chris, you mentioned that making sure that is a priority to get this distributed into as many places as possible. So what was were there challenges in getting that done, and are you happy that you're able to get it to as wide an audience as possible?
Yeah, I like that. This is a little bit like the alley-oop. You've sort of set me up for this, because I've spoken to you a little bit about this off camera before. Well, on camera, I guess, but no one else saw it. But what had happened was I was well aware of the fact. Well, to be honest, I thought you were all Canadian, so apologies there. This is terrible. It's okay, because we're in the UK. Everyone will think that I'm British as well, but I'm Australian. So, we get confused all the time. But anyway, I was sure that you guys were Canadian, and I was like, right, okay, I'm going to talk to you, and I know there's so many Canadian Transformers fans anyway. For me, it was a priority to make sure it was available there. And we've always had trouble sort of traditionally in, sending a lot of the Eaglemoss stuff to Canada. So there's a lot of things that aren't available there. And I was really quite adamant on the Kickstarter of like, hey, we need to make sure that this is going to be available to ship to Canada. And so it was genuinely with you guys in mind, first of all, and then everybody else that's in Canada. It was the goal to make it, one of the options. And so we got there, but it was Transmissions that was the instigator and the reason for that happening. And I say that with no shadow of a lie. That's actually what it was. And I think Rich is even on the emails where I said, look, it must happen for this reason. And so what we've done is we've got for the US and the UK, which are sort of our two dominant markets, we're doing free shipping, and then we've got a flat rate $35 shipping on top of that for all the other territories we're going to, including Canada. And if you get an idea from just one of those pieces of the heft of it, imagine that times 32 with boxing, a book, the board. It's going to be a big, heavy box, but it's just a nice flat rate shipping. So, there's no great surprises or scares at the end of the campaign. The scare is all up front. If you're prepared to back us, then the shipping is not going to kill you.
This whole set is basically about the cost of a Unicron. So if folks were able to get the Unicron funded a couple of years ago, I'm hopeful that it can be done again here with this chess set. I think this is a nice premium. I mean, the fact that all the pieces are hand painted and handcrafted, I think it's a really cool bit of Transformers merchandise. So I hope you guys are successful.
So do we. We really want to see it happen. It is a passion project. So even if we had walked away a little from Transformers over the years, the passion was still there, and it's been reignited by all this.
And so I did notice you have a couple of alternate Kings. You have the Rodimus Prime and Galvatron Kings, and those can be for folks who want those. You get an additional couple of figures for the higher Kickstarter backing. So how are those coming along? Do you already have prototypes of those, or I think that they've just shown the renders or the render of Galvatron on the Kickstarter page, but how are those guys coming?
At the moment, we've only got the renders available, the grey renders that are on the Kickstarter for both Galvatron and Rodimus Prime. They're sculpted. They've been approved by Hasbro. So the next step for us is we get them 3D printed, and often with our factories that we work with, and then we'll get them sent to us, and we hand paint them. We have a very good company in the UK who hand paint all of our figurines to start with, so that we have a master copy before that goes back to our factories where they're hand painted en masse. So it's sort of, that process takes a bit of time. So I don't have any here at all, actually. Sometimes I have some of the blank 3D printouts, but for those two, we're sort of a little bit behind on those. We should be getting them in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully we'll be able to update the Kickstarter page with something before the end of the campaign.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a nice touch for celebrating also the 35th anniversary of Transformers the movie. So it's nice to have that alternate those alternate kings available for the set. So that's very cool that you thought of that.
And just, I guess, as a little tease, I can't say too much, but we are hoping to add in a stretch goal, or at least to add in something perhaps extra along the way that might throw in another piece that would certainly make sense, given that, if you end up with Rodimus Prime as your king, perhaps then one of the other pieces sort of becomes redundant because of that. So it might be worth having a swap out. So if I can tease at that is something we could do as well.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't quite make sense to have Hot Rod and Rodimus Prime on the board at the same time, maybe. But I don't know. You could have time hopping dimensional things. I don't know, things could happen.
I mean, some people really like the idea of having them both on there. So, they're on board. But for us, it was sort of, we did consider another option.
Yeah. Well, cool. So where can people go to check out this stuff and back the Kickstarter page?
So obviously, if you go to Kickstarter and just search for Transformers Chess, you'll find it. But we did set up a very handy URL, which is HeroCollector.com/Transformers Chess, and that will take you to the Kickstarter page. So as long as you type in HeroCollector.com/Transformers Chess, you will be right there. And we're really hoping people will go and back it, because we want to make it. So it's not that we don't want to. It's just we need to know there's enough of you that are on board with us as well.
A very small part of me is like, well, if no one backs this, guess who gets the only set?
I guess that's a nice consolation prize, but we hope it gets backed.
No, it absolutely should. Yeah. You don't want me to be the only person having these. I promise you, they're really nice. Yeah.
All right, we'll have a link in the YouTube description and also in our show notes. So this podcast will go up on our YouTube page and be in our in one of our audio downloads, so everyone can hear it and find out and hopefully get interested. So very huge thanks to Richard Jackson and Chris Thompson of Hero Collector. Thank you guys for coming on. Everyone check out the Transformers G1 chess set Kickstarter. That is at HeroCollector.com/Transformers Chess. And definitely check it out. And if you're interested, definitely back it. It's got about another month to go before the Kickstarter ends. So you've got plenty of time to do it. So check it out. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
And from little C to big C, thank you.
All right. Well, let's finish up this alt mode with a bit of convention news.
All right. We mentioned this in the other show, but just it bears repeating. Hasbro has announced the dates for Pulsecon. It's October 22nd and 23rd. So we're looking forward to seeing everything that they announce. I'm wondering if we're going to get any announcements on the upcoming cartoons, like the BotBot Nickelodeon show. And then I'm sure we'll have something about the movies. I'm hoping, maybe. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Pulsecon. I enjoyed the first one, so glad that they're repeating it. The same weekend, October 22nd, 23rd, TFCon Baltimore is happening. And they have announced that Casey Collar will be attending. We gushed over him in the toy show, but it kind of bears repeating because Casey is awesome. Happy that he is he's going to be there, and you guys are going to get to see him. And If you can hear, my dog is barking in his sleep because he's also excited that Casey's going to be there. So, that's all we got for convention news this week.
All right, and that takes us to the end of the show. As always, we give a shout out to our Masterpiece Donatrions in every episode because they are the ones who contribute the most at the highest level for our Patreon. So thank you so much to John Forex Levengood, Dinobot Maximize, and Demon Tech 82. You guys are really, you're our personal heroes for continuing to support the show at such a high level. You can also pick up some merchandise from our TeePublic store. That's at transmissionspodcast.com/shop. Got lots of cool shirts, masks, and other merchandise you can get with Transmission stuff on there. So go ahead and check that out. And if you buy anything from TeePublic through our link, that helps out the show. So transmissionspodcast.com/shop. And Apollo, thank you again for joining us this week. We really appreciate it. And we mentioned on the toy show that we commissioned some art from you for some upcoming Donatron rewards. So thank you again for doing that. And by this time, I think we should have some samples up so people can check it out. But why don't you tell everyone where they can find your stuff online as well, so if they want to check out some of your other art.
Yeah, no, I've had a blast working on that commission for the podcast. So if you'd like to check out my other artwork, I am on Twitter and Instagram at RoboApollo. And you can see some samples of my work there. I usually like to post something once a week art-wise, but life gets in the way sometimes of that. And sometimes I post more. So please give me a follow and check it out. I have commissions open. So if you would like to get a commission from me, DM me, please. And thanks again for having me on.
All right. And that will do it for this episode of Transmissions Alt Mode. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Later.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Transmissions. If you'd like to keep the Transformers talk going, join us in Discord at transmissionspodcast.com/Discord. There's a great community there waiting for you. If you'd like to support our podcast, go to transmissionspodcast.com/support or just tell your friends about our show. We'll see you next time.
We are recording, right? Yeah, we did. We synchronized. Yes, we did.
Yeah, we synchronized. Yes. I almost didn't, though. It was like 2 seconds before. I was like, oh, no.
All right. My brain is melting. Okay, here we go. That was a cool little interview. And
it was amazing.
We haven't actually done it yet. That's why we don't have any details.
I can't believe they're giving you one of those for free.
Yeah.
Wow. I know. I mean,